Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips. Get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. Central Texas Life with Ann Harder presents Central Texas Events.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Events, and it's wonderful to have Terry Ann Kelly back with us with Students Standing Strong. Had you on Central Texas Life talking about your ministry and how this wonderful clubs for kids in public school to kind of continue to hone their faith and to learn to become leaders. And it's just all so good.
Well,
you know, and I've told you you're the poster child for this podcast in that people who see a need and think, I need to do something. Okay, I'll do something, Lord. What can I do? And then it just becomes this huge thing.
And it's funny, as we dedicate our hearts to wanting to serve God in some way, whether it's our family or where we work or wherever, it is just such a joy. But not only that, you find yourself in situations that you're going, wow, I cannot believe that just happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Students Standing Strong started too. It was just something I saw a need in our community 20 years ago, and we had 5 children. And so therefore I just thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do when we moved them from private Christian school to public? And it was the best decision we've ever made. But from that, I decided we need to do something in the public schools for our own children and their friends. And therefore, we started student-led clubs where students lead Bible studies themselves to their peers on the public school campus, which is fully legal. And then 20 years later, we're now all over the country, and we've just moved our national headquarters to Central Texas, which we are so thrilled that we are now here.
Well, and you had moved back to Waco because you and your husband both Baylor grads. In fact, your husband played football for Grant Taft. and there is kind of a link to that brought you back to Waco, right?
Well, Jay actually came from Ohio back in the 80s to play football for Grant, and he had not been really raised. His mother was a wonderful Christian woman, but he did not go to church. She didn't make him, and he really didn't know much about the faith. And when he came here, Grant Taft required the team to go one semester to one church and then another semester to another church, just one time, not every week or anything, but once or twice in the whole football season.
Be sampled.
Yes. And so then that's when my husband really began to understand what it meant to be a Christian and surrendered his life to Christ. And it changed his life. And then a year later, I met him, and I thought, oh, my goodness, if I had met him the year before that, we would not have gone out.
Right.
Because we weren't on the same page in areas that matter. But boy, when God got a hold of his heart, and I met him a year later, and I'm like, who is that good-looking hunk of a man? And then somebody told me that he was now a Christian, and that's history. And Jay just thought it would be nice someday for us to all return. Well, I say all, our kids are grown, but to return to Central Texas where he met Christ and changed his life. And then we have 2 children of ours. We have 5. And 2 of them live here with grandchildren. So you combine both of those things, and we were hauling it from the Dallas-Fort Worth area to Waco.
So not too far away, but to pull up stakes and move, kind of reinvent your life. But this work that really God gave you, Students Standing Strong, S3 for short, is something that is continuing to grow.
Yes, and I'll tell you, although we're in probably 21 or 22 states right now, in the China, when we moved here, we started in China Springs School District. So we're in their intermediate, their middle school, and they're starting in the high school. And then we are hoping to have a presence in any public school, and we also are in some private Christian schools as well.
Oh, sure.
But we would love to bring Students Standing Strong to everyone that's listening. We'd love to bring it to their children's school or their grandchildren's school, because it's just such a positive place.
Yeah, so there are so many draws on children in so many ways that, the enemy would want to distract them and confuse them. And, to have that extra kind of reinforcement after school in a social kind of way.
Yes, and sometimes it's before school. Sometimes kids will come an hour early for their club, and it's all led by students. And what's so cool is that even if it's an intermediate school, which a lot of times is 5th and 6th grade, as it is in China Spring School District, which is just a suburb of Waco, really, 5th graders and 6th graders are taking that lesson by themselves, standing in front of 80 or 90 of their peers after school on campus with microphones, 5th and 6th graders, and leading in front of 75, amazing. 80, 85, 90 kids on their own every week.
Growing little leaders.
Yes. Yeah, and the thing is that what's so exciting, well, let me step back about what's not exciting, is that I just read this past year the United States Surgeon General's report, and it was on loneliness, and it's an epidemic, not only among adults, but more so among our young people. And they are so lonely, and it doesn't matter if you are the star of the football team or you're the head of the band, you're very active and you seem to know a lot of people. There is this deep, deep loneliness, and so many things like social media and other things come into play.
These things really.
Well, and when the economy's bad, moms and dads are having to work, even more and more and more. And so that deep sense of loneliness, and what Students Standing Strong does is it gives kids a place to belong, to be themselves at school. We're interdenominational, and we even have people from other religions.
Yeah.
That not even Christianity, although we're teaching God's Word, the Bible.
Right.
But parents are wanting their kids to have good friends, even if they're another faith, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever.
Right.
And they find a very welcoming place in Students Standing Strong, and they're just learning more how to stand together and make good choices in life and how to become leaders. And I think that's all of our kids and grands need that.
Yeah, and of course, over 20 years of seeing this flourish in multiple states, I guess of some pretty amazing success stories of people who've gone on to do great things.
I can tell you one. Do you want me to tell you
one? Sure,
yeah. I mean, there's so many, but so we now, and I don't think we have these clubs up and going right now, but for years, because sometimes if they don't have a student that wants to take it on for the next year or whatever, but that we have like an 85% return rate, which is very high. That if we have a club, 85% of all of our clubs start again and again. Yes. Yes. But so we had entered the New Orleans area, and it was in Jefferson Parish, which was one of the most violent and dangerous parishes when it just came to violence and everything. They were making national news, what was going on in some of their schools. And we entered Jefferson Parish in a number of their schools. Well, they were making national news, right, like I said, for violence.
Right.
Well, there was a lot of moms and dads that got behind Students Standing Strong, and they got Students Standing Strong shirts. And the school allowed them, because it doesn't say the Jesus ABC 123 Club, it says Students Standing Strong.
Yeah, that could,
although we're all about Christ.
Generic enough.
Yes, and learning God's Word and how to apply it. But those schools were going through so much that the police department there adopted Students Standing Strong. They liked the name. And when I say adopted, they were just very supportive. The pastors in those parishes just came on board. And then the moms and dads would wear their Students Standing Strong shirts. And when they needed at those schools for parents to help patrol the hallways, they wore their Students Standing Strong shirts. And it affected that whole community for a number of years. So we can go to any type of environment, and kids feel like it's a place they can go and belong and feel safe and learn to be a leader.
Well, and as you say, it's perfectly legal, and this is, a lot of people are confused. They have been confused.
Yes.
Thinking, oh, you can't talk about religious things inside a school. And that is not.
That's true. And so many cases, even our attorney is Kelly Shackelford, and he wins so many of those national cases at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Correct.
For the rights of Christians and kids in school or churches or whatever. And I've known him since Baylor.
Yeah, yeah.
You look him up. His name is Kelly Shackelford with First Liberty.
In fact, my middle son Joel just did a summer internship as a law student with
First Liberty?
Uh-huh.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. It is
Way.
the most, yes, way. It is so incredible. And
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
to
neat.
know that Kelly's been my friend since Baylor, so there's been times that I've actually called him, and he is literally with the U.S. Attorney General. I mean, because he's been doing it a long time, too, like we have. So, yeah, it's just wonderful. And I just think that even with all the cases that are being won at the U.S. Supreme Court for students and schools and all of that, that people still don't know. You're right, Ann. People are still confused. How can we have something Christian at school? And it is fabulous and legal.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, the reason we're here today,
Yes.
it takes money to do all this.
It does.
And so you have a wonderful gala coming up on September 12th at the Waco Convention Center. And tell them a little bit about your keynote.
My goodness. Well,
entertainment.
Yeah,
is,
so you've got one in your hand.
That's
and
right,
I
I
have
have
one here.
one.
These are the actual
right.
the invitations. But when you open it up, and it's going to be, first let me just mention, on Thursday night, September the 12th, at the Waco Convention Center. And so I would love anybody to reach out, and we would love to get you an invitation in the mail. But so you'll see when you open it up that it says Michael Jr., he's right here, and he is one of the most, I don't know how to describe it, one of the most well-known and sought-after comedians in the United States.
He's clean.
He is a clean comedian, and corporate America, secular corporate America, has him come to do their, big, what do you call them, conventions or whatever. And so we had him 10 years ago at one of our galas at Students Standing Strong, not here.
So
but
he's familiar with your work.
He already knows us. So
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason we were able to even
get him.
because he's very hard to book, but he's great. So anyway, he is going to do a 40-minute stand-up comedy show at the gala. And
he's hysterical.
He is hysterical, and he has a whole team that they all work together, and they are very led by God. They pray over what events they even take, and they're just a fantastic team to work with. I would encourage anybody who's looking for a great person for a gala or for an event or a corporate event to contact Michael Jr. He just goes by Michael Jr. And you can actually go to YouTube and just look at Michael, which, by the way,
That's
didn't
just what
you?
I did. That's what I did. And
Yeah, you told me that.
One of his appearances at a church, a huge,
That one was a huge
humongous
church.
and talked to the audience, and so much ad lib, but he's clever. I mean, he's just very clever and
hilarious.
So funny, funny.
So-
Calling on his youth as a kid in church, and it's like, why do I have to go? Just the stuff that kids all think. But it took with him.
Oh, yes.
And he goes to prisons,
Yes.
and I mean, it just his, and it's part of his comedy routine, which is really funny.
Well,
But anyway.
and if you go to Michael Jr. on YouTube, you'll see tons that you can watch, just with your family at night. If you go to the one that's called More Than Funny, that's the name of that
I'll have to
particular
watch that
performance.
one. Yeah.
He breaks away 2 or 3 separate times in that one where he just shares his heart about ministries that are serving God, and 3 that he really loves to support. And they're smaller ministries, but he just likes to bloom where he's planted. You will be so touched if you watch the More Than Funny video.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an amazing event,
Yes.
again, at the Waco Convention Center in the Brazos Room, correct?
Yes.
And so there are tickets available, tables available as well.
So what you would do is you go to MYS3.org, mys3.org. That takes you to our Students Standing Strong homepage of our website, and then you'll see Gala, and you can check on the Gala right there. And even if you can't come, you could still go to that site now, and we have live auction items that are already up, and we will be adding more and more. So even if you can't attend, then you could be bidding on some things that you might really love to have, and then all of it goes to support Students Standing Strong and will help us grow more into Central Texas, and that's our goal. We really have our mission to continue to grow nationwide, but we're really putting our concentrated efforts, now that our headquarters is here in Central Texas, we're putting all of our efforts, most of our efforts, into growing Students Standing Strong in our area now, because it's where I live, and I want it to grow where, I want to bloom where I'm planted.
Again, blooming where you're planted.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Jr., it's laughter does good for the soul like a medicine. So if you're in, there's a lot of stresses and things happening in life right now that
That's so true.
a good evening of laughter is a good thing for a wonderful cause.
It is a wonderful cause, but I will also tell you this. Now, Michael Jr. is going to have someone he has to compete with at the gala, because there will be 2 stars at this gala. I've already mentioned Michael Jr., but the second star of the event, her name is Ann Harder.
Oh, come on now.
And
Stop it.
she is going to be our MC, and you listen to Ann and you know how delightful and joyful she is. And Ann, I just even publicly want to say to you, thank you so much
I'm
for
honored.
coming. I'm so happy.
I'm so honored to be a part of this and to have gotten to know you and to just see how the Lord is using you in changing the lives of young people and strengthening them. I mean, it's just a remarkable work that you're doing. And of course, we didn't when we visited before. I don't think we even talked about this, but the commonality of our experience at Baylor with the inimitable Frank Fallon. It was just
You have to at least
hysterical.
mention that, Ann.
Okay.
It is a
of
really
course,
kind of cool story.
She sort of off the cuff said, "Oh, well, I was a radio and TV major." I went, "You were?" "Yeah." "Well, when KJNE, I was one of the first Janes," she says.
Yeah, it was
I'm like,
Jane for
"Really?"
KJNE, and people might not remember that unless they're closer to our age or
Certainly remember that. And of course, I think that because of the Baylor, I said, well, of course, Frank Fallon was really my mentor. He was my daddy in the broadcasting business. And you said, oh, me too.
He started, both of us got started in the radio and television industry because Frank Fallon had both of us, we were just a few years apart. We both provided the color commentary for the Baylor Homecoming Parade, which is the largest college homecoming parade in the country. Yeah. So Ann and I both got to do that.
I said, well, my first thing on the air was with Frank Fallon doing the homecoming parade. She goes, me too.
And I was terrible.
I was worse.
Terrible.
I was worse. I really can compete with you on that. Anyway, I think back on that so fondly, though, of Frank and all that he taught me. But yeah, we climbed a ladder up onto the top of the library binding building at the time to watch the parade and to broadcast it on the radio.
Yes, it was so
just
fun.
Remarkable. But anyway, all that to say, I feel like we're sisters in so many ways.
But connecting now more in later life and becoming friends.
Yeah,
and I just love that. I would like to go ahead and give our phone number if anybody wants to call.
Please, yes, we'll put it in the headline
okay, so
too.
do you want me to say it now?
No,
okay.
go ahead. Yeah.
So if you call 817-715-0000,
okay,
then you will reach me. And then my email is terryann, TERRYANN, at mys3.org. And I would love to tell you how to bring Students Standing Strong to your kids' or grandkids' school. And we would walk you through it step by step, and it's free.
Yeah, and tell you about the September 12th gala event featuring Michael Jr.
Yes.
So
and Ann Harder.
Well, it's going to be fun. It is. I'm really looking forward to it, and know it's going to be a great crowd and raise a lot of money for a great cause.
We're praying for that. So if you're listening, please pray that we are able to make enough to sustain the ministry just year after year.
Right. That's right. Well, thank you again, Tara, and thank you for being with us for Central Texas Events. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.